So selling your home, that's a big one, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like you're really doing your research, looking into Andika Duncan, Showstopper Realty, all that good stuff. We took a deep dive into the materials you sent over, and gotta say, some interesting things jumped out right off the bat.
Yeah, there's this one thing, kind of subtle, but it caught my eye. They really play up on Dika's, what is it, 900 credit hours of real estate education,
Hmm.
plus her whole service area spanning a bunch of counties in North Texas.
Yeah.
Now, most folks might skim right past that, but to me, that's huge.
No, I totally agree. Anyone can say they're experienced, but those credit hours, that's dedication right there. It tells me she's serious about staying on top of her game, which in real estate, things change so fast, you got to be ahead of the curve.
And it's not just general real estate know-how either. She's got specific certifications like she's a real estate negotiation expert, which is a whole other level.
Okay, so I got to ask, for someone like me selling my house, what does that even mean in real life? What can what was it, real estate negotiation expert do that your average agent can't?
I'm glad you asked. Basically, it means she's gone through specialized training in, you guessed it, negotiation tactics, but specifically geared towards real estate, right?
Yeah.
She's not just reading market data, she's interpreting it, understanding the legal contracts inside and out, and using all that knowledge to get the absolute best outcome for her clients. For you, that could mean selling your home quicker and, more importantly, for a higher price.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That makes a lot of sense. Now, another thing, they kept using this phrase, assertive negotiation. It's like their go-to thing. What's the deal with that, and how does it connect to her being, like you said, a negotiation expert?
They definitely want that phrase stuck in your head, right?
Yeah.
Seems like it's a core part of Andika's brand. But here's the thing, it's not just about being aggressive, okay? It's about being a strong advocate, specifically for you, the seller, and using that specialized knowledge we talked about to your advantage.
So less about, like, strong-arming buyers, more about having a real strategy at the negotiating table.
Exactly that. It's about understanding all the little things in the market, knowing the challenges that might pop up, and having the confidence to push for the very best deal possible. Imagine it like having a pro chess player on your team thinking 5 moves ahead, always one step ahead, to make sure you come out on top.
And that's probably where her knowing the market so well comes in handy,
Yeah.
right? Because anyone can read a textbook, but actually understanding how a specific market works, that's a whole other ballgame.
You hit the nail on the head. And this is where Andika's experience working in all those different North Texas counties, that gives her a real edge.
So it's not just looking at some numbers online. It's like she's been there, done that, knows what sells and what doesn't.
Exactly. That kind of local, on-the-ground knowledge, you can't fake that. It's super valuable when you're trying to price your home right, make it attractive to the right buyers, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. So we've got the negotiation skills, the deep market knowledge. It's all starting to click. What other tricks does she have up her sleeve, as part of this whole showstopper advantage?
Well, one thing that jumped out, they really emphasize high-quality marketing.
Mhm.
They mentioned professional photography, virtual tours, even, get this, her background working on HGTV's Flipper Flop Fort Worth. And that's not something you see every day.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's wild. Makes you wonder, even if it was behind the scenes, what did she pick up from that experience? Something that could give her an edge when it comes to, like, showing off a property.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It tells me she gets it, the whole presentation game, how to make a house look absolutely amazing. And in today's market, where everyone's online, first impressions are everything.
It's like she's not just selling a house, she's selling a whole lifestyle, a dream.
Exactly. And that, my friend, can make all the difference when it comes to getting people interested, sparking those bidding wars, and ultimately getting you the absolute top dollar for your place. And you know what, that whole selling a lifestyle thing, it reminds me there was this other interesting tidbit in the materials. They made a point of saying how Andika does different kinds of open houses, like private showings, the classic everyone's invited kind, even virtual tours. Seems like she's really trying to stay ahead of the game, meet the buyers where they're at.
Totally. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation anymore, is it? Speaking of which, let's talk a bit more about the assertive negotiation style. We touched on it earlier. You said it's not just about being pushy, but I'm still not totally clear on how that actually works, when you're in the thick of things, making a deal.
Sure, let's break it down. So say you've got multiple offers on your house, right? A less experienced agent, they might just see the highest number and be like, okay, let's go. But someone like Andika, with that assertive negotiation training, she's going to dig deeper. She'll look at each offer, not just the price tag.
Ah. So, like, what about closing costs? Are there any weird contingencies? What's the timeline look like? All those hidden details that can really sneak up on you.
You got it. Those can make a huge difference. She's going to break it all down, figure out where there's wiggle room, and then use that to negotiate the best possible terms. Think of it like she's playing chess, always thinking a few steps ahead, making sure you come out on top.
Okay, now it's making sense. It's not about being a bully, it's about being smart, having a plan. Which, now that I think about it, there was this one quote that kind of stuck with me. Something about some agents being scared to lose the deal and giving up too easy. Sounded kind of harsh when I read it, like they were throwing shade at other realtors.
Yeah, they weren't exactly mincing words, were they? But I think it speaks to a real fear a lot of sellers have. What if my agent is so worried about making the sale, they don't fight hard enough for me? What if I could have gotten more?
Yeah, like, are they on my team or just trying to close this thing out ASAP? It's got to be tough to be in that position as a seller, especially if you're not a real estate whiz yourself.
For sure, it can feel overwhelming. And I think that's exactly what Andika is trying to address with that statement. It's about building trust, right?
Hmm.
Letting you know, look, I'm not going to back down from a tough conversation. I'm going to make sure you get every penny your house is worth.
Takes guts to take that stance. Lots of people talk a big game, but actually doing it, that's another story. Which it makes me think about another bold statement they made, that whole in real estate, there's no such thing as a win-win. Kind of rubbed me the wrong way at first, but now I'm starting to see how it all ties together.
It's definitely a conversation starter. But put yourself in her shoes, right? If you're someone who consistently gets amazing results for your clients, well, yeah, the idea that everyone's going to skip off into the sunset equally thrilled, it might not be realistic.
Right, like in any negotiation, someone's probably going to feel like they could have gotten a smidge more. The key is you want someone on your side who makes sure that someone isn't you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's what makes Andika's whole approach so interesting. She's not afraid to say, this is how I operate. I'm going to fight for you, even if it ruffles some feathers.
And that takes serious confidence, right? The confidence that comes from knowing your stuff inside and out. Which brings us back to that whole HGTV thing. We talked about it a bit earlier, but I'm curious. For someone like me, just a regular person thinking about selling my house, how does that translate into a real benefit?
Great question. Think about what makes those home makeover shows so addictive. It's not just about seeing the transformation, it's the way they stage it, the lighting, how they make every little detail look amazing. Even working behind the scenes on a show like Flip or Slop Fort Worth, that's got to give you an eye for that kind of stuff.
Right. It's like having insider knowledge on how to make a house look amazing on camera, which, let's be real, these days, that's how most people see houses for the first time.
Exactly. And it's not just about making it look pretty, it's about understanding how to capture its potential. How to make people scrolling through listings online, how to make them feel something.
So it's about tapping into that emotional side of buying a house, making people imagine themselves living there, having their morning coffee in that kitchen.
You got it. And that, my friend, is powerful stuff. That's what gets people bidding. That's what drives up the price. It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
Totally. It's like having your own personal staging crew, but with real estate expertise on top of it. And speaking of showcasing what makes a property special, we got to talk about these testimonials. People seem to love Andika's communication skills, how easy she is to get a hold of, and how she explains even the complicated stuff in a way that makes sense. That's huge when you're dealing with something as stressful as selling your house.
It's essential. Let's be real. Selling a house, it can be a roller coaster. Contracts, money, all that emotional baggage. Having an agent who gets that, who's there for you every step of the way, who picks up the phone when you call, that's priceless.
It really does sound like she gets that personal side of things, which in real estate can be easy to forget. It's not just about the deal. Like all the testimonials, they mention the same things. Andika always gets back to you, explains everything super clearly, and just makes you feel like you're not alone in this whole crazy process.
And that's what really stands out to me. Anyone can get the training, learn the technical stuff, but when you're making a big decision like selling your house, you want someone who gets the human side too, right? Someone who's empathetic, responsive, a good communicator. All those things matter.
Big time. It's like, yeah, you want a pro in your corner, but also someone you trust who's actually looking out for you, not just trying to get to the closing table as fast as possible.
Exactly. And you really get that sense from reading what people are saying about her. It's not just that she gets results, which is important, don't get me wrong, but it's how she makes people feel along the way. Heard, understood, supported. all that good stuff.
And honestly, that can be worth its weight in gold when you think about all the emotions that come with selling a house, all the memories, the what ifs.
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's those little things, the human touch, that make the biggest difference in an experience like this.
couldn't agree more. Well, I feel like we've covered a ton of ground here. We talked about Andika's experience, how she handles negotiations, her unique marketing style, even that personal touch she brings to her clients.
We sure did. And just a reminder, this is really just scratching the surface, right?
Yeah.
Think of this deep dive as a starting point, a way to get to know Andika Duncan and Showstopper Realty a bit better based on the info you gave us.
Exactly. It's about giving you the tools and knowledge you need to decide if you want to take that next step.
And that next step, if you're ready, is to connect with Andika directly. Ask her anything you're wondering about, see how she communicates, does her approach click with you, that kind of thing.
It's all about finding that right fit because at the end of the day, the best realtor for you is the one who not only gets your goals, but makes you feel good about this whole process, confident, supported, even a little excited. Now, before we wrap up, something to think about. We've talked a lot about Andika's marketing skills, how she makes those listings shine, but even the best photos and descriptions, they can only do so much, right? A house has to be ready to sell, prepped, and primed.
Absolutely. Getting your house ready to be seen, that's key.
For sure. So here's something to chew on. Knowing Andika's background with HGTV, her eye for detail, all that, what are some unique things she might suggest to make your listing really stand out? What hidden potential could she see that other people might miss?
Now, that's a great question to ask her.
Right. It's those unexpected touches, those little things that can really make a difference in a competitive market.
It's all about that wow factor.
You got it. So as you go through this process, remember, selling your house, it's not just about sticking a sign in the yard. It's about showcasing its personality, its potential, helping someone else see their future in it. And who knows, maybe Andika Duncan is the perfect person to help you tell that story.